G'day traders, welcome to wrap up of Monday the 12th of March. On this particular day on the daily sheet, we're sitting right up, we're starting to get up towards the highs again, but there's no real strong resistance or support levels. So when we approach a day like this, even though the last few days have been green days, so it's looking like it wants to head up, but there's no great support or resistance. So it does have a chance to really head up or down at free will. There's no direct influence on what today might be like. So definitely approach today with an open mind. To start off with, we pushed up. So there's actually, it's not there at the moment, but there was yesterday's close line was there. So it basically just come up, touched that, then it headed down. So from there it headed down about 6 points. So obviously we're in a downtrend then. We're starting to look for selling opportunities. By this stage around here, as it's starting to pull back, the moving average is clearly pointing down. So as the predictive average crosses the upside, quite often that's a good area to catch a pullback, then to get a continuation of the downside. So this particular area here is a little bit messy, but it came up at the end of that candle there. It pushed down, pushed back a little bit, and then pushed down again. So that particular area would have worked well. As far as the pullback and then a 5-minute sell, like a continuation of that trend, that would have came here quite close to the lows. And just pop back a bit, then continue down. Looked like it did want to break down. You can see it's broken a couple of points, sorry, a couple of ticks to the downside here. But interesting thing about here is it's very important to watch the other markets, okay? And at this stage on the other markets, some of them are breaking down, like the Russell, but the Dow Jones really didn't look like it wanted to break down. It was sitting equivalently right up, closer to its highs, and there wasn't this general everyone in sync heading to the downside. So it wasn't, certainly wasn't an area that they clearly wanted to head down from, and the other markets certainly showed that. From there, we started to push back up, and as we're pushing up here, a lot of the other markets started pushing high and breaking these resistance levels here. So you can see this area here, it's a bit of a resistance, even though the ES didn't break it, a lot of the other markets did. So from this stage here, and the moving average starting to swing around to the upside, definitely start looking for buying opportunities. Okay, so we pushed up here. Then bit of a 5-minute sell came up here, so that's definitely one you want to avoid. Even though the sell has came up, like I said, other markets at this stage, they're pushing up higher, and they weren't breaking lower, so they weren't encouraging new sellers to come into the market. So if an area like this, if you do want to sell, it's fine, even though it's the second or third pullback on the downtrend. But you've got to have the support of the other markets. You want to see the other markets breaking lows, pushing lower, and when they're pulling back, not breaking through resistance. And other markets were, they weren't breaking lower and they were breaking up. So this was a clear sign that this one was not going to work. In most cases, that's what happened. It pushed down a little bit, then swung to the upside. So as we're swinging to the upside here, this is a bit of a directional setup where all of a sudden the moving average, the predictive, everything started pushing to the upside, and looked like I want to break these resistance levels here. The only problem with this area here, the ES was actually leading the up market. Certainly the markets were starting to head up, but normally the Russell and some of those indicators, normally the first ones to break up or down. It makes areas like this easy to take. So this one a little bit hesitant just because the other markets weren't breaking up. Eventually they all did break up, but on a rare occasion the ES was the one that led them, and that's what happened in this case. But still, a good area to buy. It was definitely an area where the buyers had a good chance of coming in and heading to the highs. Especially after a 5-minute sell like this, fails, even though it's not a good sell. When you see one fail like that, normally when you see the predictive cross to the opposite direction, which in this case it was up, they normally work quite well. And you can also see there's an area here where the markets pull back from, and then if you got the support of the markets, which eventually they did, the chances are you're going to really break that and continue on and push higher. So the moral of the story, I guess, is just keep on watching those other markets. They tell a lot bigger picture, and it's really hard to trade without looking at the other markets. Okay, and start to develop in your mind whether you think the markets are heading up or down. In this situation, is it just a pullback, or are we going to start heading up with a new trend? And everything was clearly pointing to the upside in this situation. From there, we hit about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and like we've been having a lot lately, we didn't hit another power point from there on in, and we just went sideways, so nothing really finished the day off. As far as the 1-minute chart, so here we go, we popped up to that power point there. That was yesterday's close. From there, we had a 6-point downtrend, trend to the downside, bit of a pullback, and so this is the area looking to catch that pullback and sell. And definitely the 5-minute charts were showing that it wanted to sell. You can see there went sideways and didn't really push clearly any further down, and the other markets weren't really supporting downside. So all through this area, even though it looked like it's possible for the market to head down, nothing was really strongly indicating that it was going to head on the downside, like we talked about in the 5-minute chart. From there, this is where the market started to get a little bit of momentum to the upside, and all the other markets started breaking up. If you check the other markets, this area here, even though the ES was not really breaking up here through this resistance levels, other markets were. They were breaking up. They're up around this area here. Okay, from there we had a bit of a pullback, and then we pushed up to this power point here, and that's where that directional trade came into play. So, this fade, I think, definitely had an opportunity to work. In the end, it looked like it didn't really go anywhere. It went quite sideways. Wouldn't have really been stopped out, but never really went for the profit either. But, on a day where the market's got a bit of momentum, this fade here definitely has a high chance of working, as the market wants to push up and break highs and go with all that momentum that started creating to the upside. And then from there you can see no further power points hit. So that's a wrap up for Monday. It was good to see some action. It's lots of little opportunities. We're not seeing the market really continue strong with trends, but that momentum will start to come. But it's good to see some setups starting to work. And it's great signs. So there's definitely opportunities out there. Keep your eyes open, watch the other markets, and good luck, and we'll speak to you Tuesday.